good news is tonight I remembered to set the sound on the correct setting, so that won't be something that will delay us once we get started. But I need to mute that. Oh, perfect. That is muted already. Wonderful. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome, as well as traditionally the greeting you give the week of Passover is Moadim L'Simcha, of saying that we have the fixed times, the holidays, for the sake of joy. And then, the traditional thing, the traditional response is Chagim Uzmanim Lasason, saying that we have our holidays for joy. So Moadim L'Simcha to everyone. And also, as we are in the middle of Passover going into Shabbat, there's a sense that we're coming from a place of already recognizing the holiness of the time around us, and so that it's traditional to abbreviate the Kabbalat Shabbat service. And so today we will begin with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShaveh, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Toachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Lechem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Wonderful. And so we actually will be following, as I say, it's the tradition within Ashkenazi liturgy to not do any of Kabbalat Shabbat, but as I say, I still think it's worth being able to take the moment to pause to recognize the end of our week and to appreciate all that we've accomplished. And so we will continue with Psalm 29 as it's traditional to rise. Mizmor LeDavid, Kavul Adonai B'Nevi, Kavul Adonai Kavodahu, Kavul Adonai Kevod Shemo, Kavul Adonai B'Havat Kodesh, Kol Adonai Al Hamayim, El HaKavod Yirim, Adonai Adonai So also, sorry, this is a little strange. Sorry, it's just a little more off than usual. And similarly, as we skipped many of the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat, it's also traditional to abbreviate Lechadodi. And so this week we'll just do the first two verses and the last verse. Sorry, let me take out. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad, ishmi'anu elam beyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, v'shemo tiferet melitila. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lefu v'necha, ki hi mekor haberacha. Levosh mikadem nesucha, tov ma'aseh b'machshavah tchila. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. We rise and face the entrance. Bo'hi b'shalom atem ala, kam b'simcha u'b'tahara. Toch emunei am segula, bo'hi chala, bo'hi chala. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Next, we'll continue with Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael, b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Wonderful. Shabbat Shalom, and welcome for everyone who's joining here in the Zoom room as well as watching later on YouTube. And so this week, the Shabbat that falls in the middle of Passover, always feels a little bit liturgically strange. That our Torah reading uh, is chosen because it includes one of the ritual calendars, but it is also telling one of the most powerful, beautiful stories of forgiveness and reconciliation, really the moment after the destruction, after the golden incident of the golden calf, when Moses convinced God to ultimately forgive the people and to continue to lead them through the wilderness. And so we have one passage where God tells Moses that there's going to be a new set of the Ten Commandments. And he gives Moses the instruction that he's going to carve the tablets that God will then inscribe with the Ten Commandments. And so this is a difference from the story we had earlier in the book of Exodus, when it describes how God not only inscribed the words into the stone, but also carved the stone itself. And so this image is very leads to some beautiful teachings and gives us a very powerful lesson, which is the importance of the way that we were involved in Revelation. That really we needed that human hand to take part in the way that the ideas were transmitted for us to be able to receive and listen to them. That one of the commentaries describes how having Moses involved in the process meant that the way that these divine words came into the world was more in tune with the reality of human weakness. And this becomes, I think, a very powerful teaching that as we think about our rituals and our values and our ideas, that there's always that balance. That on the one hand, we want to have the lofty ideas that help us connect with God, that are able to help us transcend ourselves, to be able to think about the deeper values of our community, that sort of get out of the messiness and the challenges of day-to-day life. Yet at the same time, anything we do has to fit within our abilities and our lives. And so, having this image where Moses needed to be a participant in bringing the Ten Commandments, the tablets that then stood as that symbol between our values and our connection to God, needed that human hand in it. And so I think as we think about that balance between perhaps, the sort of perfect ideal of what would be possible without any of the sort of human weakness or reality of what it means to be a person, and the practical compromises we make in order to fit rituals into our lives becomes very clear with Passover food. That, of course, the idea that on Passover we're supposed to be extra strict in our eating and preparation of food, of ensuring that there's no chametz, that there's no leavening, as well as many of the other strictures that popped up afterwards, is something that has led to a lot of anxiety and really a very real debate. Because, of course, some of the things that people, that some of the stringencies, that people have taken on over time are not fully necessary, but uh, often they popped up because of the way that it was in some ways easier. And so even as and in having that balance between the convenience of being able to walk into as I say, in more dense Jewish areas, the difference in being able to walk into a grocery store where everything is marked kosher for Passover, the reality of the fact that you're able to really, get everything you need except for matzah itself, in any grocery store. Something that's that mix of the ideal situation and the ease of convenience. And so I think that on Passover, as we work that balance, that it's worth noting. But we see that even with the deeper and I think more important theme of freedom. That, of course, as we think about our own liberation, our own sense of being able to come into ourselves, that as we then recognize the differences between each of us, that perhaps the sort of sense of freedom and what I would do with all of my free time is going to be very different from what someone else will do. And that as we think about finding that sense of freedom and that lightness of being able to choose our own destiny, that it's worth recognizing that that will look different for different people. And the rabbis in the Talmud were able to, I think, find a small taste of that. That when they talked about the image of what it meant to bring joy to your holiday, that one reason that they said you should have 4 cups of wine is because of the way that that is a symbol of joy. But in recognizing that not everyone is going to like wine or is able to drink wine, that they say perhaps for someone else, that sense of extra joy is going to come from a delicious meat dish. Perhaps for someone else, it'll come with some new clothes. And so that as it was about finding that sense of joy and freedom as we celebrate this holiday, that the rabbis recognized that it will look different and that we need to be a participant in defining what that freedom means to us. And so my hope the rest of this holiday is that each of us are able to find our own meaning of freedom and to be able to flourish in the way that we need to. So with that, I'll wish you a Shabbat Shalom. And as we do each week, in recognizing that even our own sense of freedom will be incomplete as long as the hostages are still held by Hamas, that we pray for their release, singing the words of Achenu, praying that they can go from a place of deepest darkness to light. Achenu, Kol Beit Yisrael. הנתונים בצרה ובשביה, העומדים בין בים ובין ביבשה. המקום ירחם, הלחם ויוציאה מצרה. So we'll continue with Misha Berach, a prayer for physical and spiritual healing. Misha Berach, Avotenu, Mekor HaBracha, Laimotenu, the source of strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say This week in our Har El community, we're remembering Mavis Salloway, mother of Bram Salloway, Saul Leith, father of Jordan Leith, Rochelle Schultz, wife of Sidney Schultz, Val Nathan, wife of Hugh Nathan, and Ben Nitkin, father of Irv Nitkin. We pray that their memory may be for a blessing. We continue evoking the end of Mourner's Kaddish with Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom Ne'emah, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu. V'yimeru, v'yimeru, Amen. Wonderful. So Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for joining. Tomorrow we'll have services at 10 a.m. And we will then have some of the leftovers from the Seder this week for Kiddush. So it should be very delicious. And then, of course, the rally for the release of the hostages will continue Sunday at 2 p.m. And then our office will be closed on Monday and Tuesday for the Yom Tov at the end of the Passover holiday. And we will be having seventh day Passover services, including the Yizkor prayers, on Monday, April 29th at 10 a.m. And so, please drop me a message if you're planning to come. I just want to make sure that we'll have a minyan. And then looking further ahead, past the end of the holiday on Tuesday, this Wednesday, May 1st, the Sisterhood will be showing the movie Golda, and of course everyone is invited, but thank you for the Sisterhood for providing the snacks. And then the week after, as we then get into the Israeli civil holidays, for Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, we'll have a lecture by Marshall Liederman, the award-winning journalist and author. That will be Monday, May 6th at 7 p.m. And that Friday, we'll have an in-person Kabbalat Shabbat service, as well as an Israeli-style dinner for Yom HaAtzmaut. And then on Sunday, May 5th at 10:30 a.m. Will be the first Harel hikers doing a birding tour of Maplewood Flats. And really, I think there's always too many things just to read through the calendar, but things are continuing to be busy. But I think definitely keeping the Yom HaShoah lecture as well as our Israel dinner will be the kind of biggest things we have coming up. Wonderful. And so we'll continue with our grape juice and matzah, as of course there's no challah on Passover. So I'm just going to take a moment to grab everything. Continue with V'shamru. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael Shabbat la'asot et ha'Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam B'nei u'b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam oti le'olam oti le'olam V'shamru b'nei Yisrael Shabbat, la'asot et ha'Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et hashamayim et ha'aretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha'Shabbat, la'asot et ha'Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. U'bayom hashvi shabbat v'yinafash, shabbat v'yinafash, shabbat v'yinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha'Shabbat, la'asot et ha'Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. So Shabbat Shalom. and I will see you next week with something a little fun.